Come on, Livingston, we're gonna go on and on and on. Together we can make it. We're gonna go on and on and on. Come on, Livingston.
Knocks it through. Mullen bursting into the box. Josh Mullen.
Together we can make it.
Mullen's ball across, it's turned in! It's Pittman who's got it! Livingston leads!
Road is long.
Now can they get the ball back in? O'Brien.
Lead! And Livingston have the lead!
Man, you score.
If we march together.
The full-time whistle blows and David Hay celebrates! And the Livingston fans join in exultation.
Come on, Livingston.
Livingston have the lead against Rangers, and they are certainly rising to a few occasions on their return to the top flight in Scotland.
Hello and welcome back to TalkLivi, the podcast dedicated to everything Livingston Football Club. My name's Andy and I'm joined by Ewan, and joining us because he was so good the first time round is Callum with 2 L's.
Alright boys.
Good to have you back on board, mate. Good to have you back.
The same, Bruni's definitely slacking, isn't he?
Yeah, he's gone. He's gone as we.
He's gone rogue.
He's gone rogue basically, and he's. I mean, he was doing an interview for the Scotsman and that. He genuinely thinks he's like Billy Big Time. Like he's gone so far above his station.
Absolutely.
And he's forgetting.
And he's forgetting where his roots were.
Exactly.
We've made him into the man he is today.
The tree he is today.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. But obviously people wanted you back, Callum. So
I'll still not be as good as Bruni, but
here
I'll
you
try
are.
my best.
Here you are.
I've got 2 L's though. I've got 2 L's.
There's always that.
There's always that, like you say. Anyway, coming up this week, we'll take a quick look at the business done by the club this week. Plenty comings and goings to discuss. We'll then take a look back on Sunday's trip north as we face Aberdeen at Pittodrie. After that, we answer the questions you put to us in TalkLivi Question Time. And finally, we'll look ahead to our home game with Ross County. Stay tuned for all of that on episode 6 of the new season.
It's been a pretty busy week for the club with the players coming and going, so let's take a quick look at the business done last week. First up, Lyndon Dykes officially left the club for a reported £2 million. We spoke a fair bit about that last week, but what's your thoughts on the deal?
Yeah, it's a great deal. It was an expected one, as we know. Obviously, the club released that statement saying that it was in the pipeline, so it was fully expected. When the club's getting offered the kind of money that's been put out there, it's a no-brainer. We've got to accept it.
It's almost double what we got for Fernandez, isn't it? And you know, the guy's played 36 games for the club, and you've managed to net, you know, a fee like that. I think it's a phenomenal bit of business by the club, and I admire the club for kind of sticking to their guns and not getting pushed about with it. And they've gone for the figure that they wanted to get for him.
Looking at the interview that John Ward done in the week, there seems to be a lot of incentives in it as well.
Yeah.
And that, if Lyndon can, when he came from Queen of the South, there was a lot of doubts about him for us. Even for us, is he going to be able to come in and lead the line straight away? Should we not be getting a recognised number 9 that's going to come in and score goals? He's not played at that level. Look what he's done for us last season.
Yeah.
He's now going to go and play in a better league, probably with better players around him. Look at Liam Kelly. Liam Kelly went down there last season and had a good year.
Yeah.
So if they go on and they go and actually achieve something, going by some of John Ward's comments on Twitter as well, that if QPR get promoted to the Premier League, then there's something in it. But Queen of the South are still due 15% of any future as well.
I think it actually breaks the record fee Queen of the South have received, which tells you how good a deal it is for
I've seen them
all
release
parties.
statement, and I hope that just as a club as well, we've got a sell-on fee included in that for ourselves going forward, because if Dykes goes in and scores 10 goals down there, the next move that he's making is 5 million. 5 million
double
plus
that down south.
Down south. So as a club, that could set us up financially perfectly.
I think you mentioned obviously the sell-on clause. I think Callum Carson tweeted that there was a sell-on clause, 10 to 15%. I don't think he confirmed exactly what it was, but that's a substantial amount of money if Lyndon Dykes does move on, he's already impressed in the first
scored in
pre-season
assist
game
yesterday in the pre-season game for them,
and he's been given the number 9 shirt, so he's likely to be playing for QPR week in week out if he does perform. So if he does, then we're in to make a fair bit of money. Great deal, and you know, I think it's needed, because I mean we spoke at length kind of last week about what we could do with the money, but when you think about it, you know, with the whole COVID situation, I think that money is there to stabilise the club.
Yeah.
I mean, too often over the years we've been told that our club is kind of financially unstable, we're kind of living week by week sort of thing. That money should give us confidence now to build for future, and that's kind of what we've been doing over the last few years, and that'll help us.
I think we've got the right guys now in the boardroom as well, that aren't going to go out and be brash with the money or be stupid.
You've got sensible business people.
Yeah, and that's probably more what we need at the moment. We need someone that's actually got that business head on, that's going to stabilise the club over the next couple of years, and with that money there's potentially a chance of looking at getting the youth set up. Potentially you've got that coming back in, and because that's the next route that we can go down. We've now got that route that clubs are coming to watch our players. If we are starting to produce our own talent and bring them through, then we've also got that opportunity.
I think the good thing about it was, and I think the gaffer kind of touched on it a little bit in his interviews and things, that it gives a good impression of the football club. You know, we're bringing guys in, we're giving guys a chance, and we're not standing in their way when a bigger club comes along. As long as it suits
not
all
often
parties.
a statement about a player going and it's
Going
smash
buzzing
big
for
man,
him, yeah.
you know.
Totally.
And I think a few saw kind of QPR's thread, and they were going, it's not often you see fans of a club like wishing a player like good luck in that sense, and it just shows you what he's done. I mean, we had the privilege of meeting London a handful of times doing press and stuff like that, and you know, I do wish the guy the best of luck. I think he has the attitude to go down there and smash it.
I think it's
that type of character.
It says a lot about him that he was delighted that Queen of the South got some money too. He's a type of guy that doesn't forget his roots. He's came through at Queen of the South. They've done so much for him. He's then came to Livingston. We've done so much for him, and he's went on with everybody's best wishes, including ours. You know, everybody's happy. Queen of the South get money. We get money. He's got improved his wages and playing in a bigger league for a bigger side. So good luck to him.
Next up, we also announced the departure of Dolly Menga and Ceci Pepe. This one was always happening. Sorry, I'm really emotional still about this. It's still raw. It's an open wound still.
Ewan is a big fan of Ceci Pepe. I think he's the only fan of Ceci Pepe. Yeah, that reaction is my reaction more, to be honest. He was always one that was on the sort of radar for going, especially when you look at the size of our squad. We have to kind of downsize it slightly, and he's one that was always on the radar to go, because he's not playing it.
I just remember
enough.
the Rangers Cup game last season. We're 1-0 down and we bring him on for we've got a free kick, and he just absolutely clatters someone going for a header and they get the foul. That was just summed him up for me.
I mean,
hopeless.
I kind of called it in a pre-season game. I think it was Alloa he was playing, and I was watching the game and thinking, how is this guy a professional footballer? He's just rash in the tackle. He threw himself in the effort. This was a friendly.
I think you also said he looked like Christian Natty's brother.
No, that wouldn't have been me. That would probably have been you.
That's not me. That is not me.
So he's one that I'm really not surprised.
I'll put my serious hat on, right? I mean, the guy's played at clubs like Marseille and PSG, right? He obviously, for me, he just seemed really raw. Like, you're talking about how he fired into tackles. Instead of kind of holding his man up and just kind of pressing and pushing him back a bit, he would just go and clatter it through them and go and try and win the ball that way. But you inevitably give away a foul. But the fact he was injured for so long last season, just, as you say, it's one of those ones you're looking at our squad going, he's one that'll probably move on.
Yeah. He never even stood out in reserve games, even when he started to come back. And I thought, to be honest, he was going to probably go down a bit of the route like Lawson did. We put him into the game, didn't he really do anything? We'll bring him out, we'll put him into reserve football, get him used to the pace of Scottish football, how it's going to be, and then. But even in reserve games, he was just brash. To be fair, defensively we've had a good unit over the last couple of seasons when he's been there, and he's not really had the opportunity to go in because we've been that good defensively, and then we've made more signings this year in terms of bringing Brown in, Fitzwater in.
they're all now ahead of him, so it was a no-brainer.
But I do wish you the best of luck, my sweet French prince.
The other one you mentioned was Dolly Menga. That there's something I don't quite understand the club with this one. We offered him a new deal.
When we sent him out on loan to Angola and his wages were getting covered, for me, I would have gone and assessed it at the end.
Yeah.
That season, instead of giving him a new deal before he went out. I thought that was a bit strange.
I think our hope with that was though that he went out to Angola. He's put in some good performances.
Someone buys him,
and they buy him because supposedly this club are one of the biggest clubs in Africa. They've got some amount of money behind them, so I think that was kind of our hope, that he'd go out there, he would do something, and we'd get some money. No want to get stung like we have with Halkett, Gallagher, and we're helping develop these guys, and then we're not getting anything at the end.
But Dolly is, I mean, we've spoke about it at length on the podcast, but he's one of the ultimate Marmite players, I think, and one of the most frustrating players I think I've ever watched.
He's unpredictable.
Yeah.
You never know what Dolly you're
going
to get.
I don't think Dolly knows what he's going to do.
I had the privilege of him being my next door neighbour for a year, and I can tell you his diet wasn't really up to scratch either. And that's I'm sitting across from Semple, and that's telling you, son.
Yeah, thanks for that, Wall. I mean, I've had the fact that I wasn't Dolly's biggest fan. Yeah,
he done a job for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Came in, he done a job. He was a pain in the arse for defences. He was entertainment value for a while. He'll go down in folklore for his goal against Rangers and obviously his goal against Hearts.
So he's a cult hero.
Absolutely.
He fits the cult hero tag, doesn't he?
Again, it's one of them that I've
never forgave him since those step-overs at Motherwell away in the last game of that season. Oh,
it was Carson summed him up brilliantly. He's the only player who's seen pick the ball up 30 yards from his own goal and somehow run the ball out for a corner.
For Motherwell. It's outstanding. I mean,
he's another one that fits into that kind of line that he was kind of inevitably going to be going for me.
Do you know when you're seeing the posts on Instagram from Dolly Menga and he's on quad bikes, he's on motorbikes, and we're started back in the season. That just kind of told you that he wasn't featuring in the plans of the club at all.
Yeah, he's a character and we wish him well.
Yeah, we didn't waste any time replacing any of these guys though. Striker Lars Lokoch, I'm going to go
Good
with.
effort.
And left back Julian Serrano, joined from Monaco, and then we've also signed Anthony Stokes, which I think everyone will know who Anthony Stokes is. What's our thoughts on those three?
I'm not going to attempt to pronounce his name again. I'm just going to go Lars. Know very little about him. He played in the regional leagues in Germany. I don't think he's played any higher than that. Scored some goals. I think seen a few tweets from some German supporters rating him. There was a guy on Twitter who looks at German football, and they kind of thought he was a fairly decent player. That kind of level of football over there, it was compared to kind of bottom six Premiership. Yeah. So it gives me some hope that he maybe come in. I mean, looking at the picture of him alone, he looks like a big battering ram, to be fair. He looks like a big laddie.
A bit like what Semple was saying, I seen someone on Twitter basically comparing him to Dykes.
Yeah,
he'll be physical, he'll do that work that Dykes
he's instantly going to get compared to Dykes anyway,
isn't he? Yeah. But this guy came on, a bit like Semple was saying, that had been watching German football and was comparing them. The guy scored 2 goals against Paderborn last season in the Cup as well, in the first round.
That was a big upset, wasn't it? Yeah. In the German Cup last year.
So, can score. Mm-hmm. Hopefully he comes in and can do something.
It's another one that he'll probably not be on a lot of money.
No.
So it's worth taking that kind of gamble.
It's a risk-free signing.
If he comes in and does well, great. If he doesn't, it's probably one of them that he'll leave at the end of the season again. I know he's signed on for 2 years, but it'll be one of them that he'll have a release clause, you would imagine, in it. The other one you kind of mentioned, Serrano. I mean, good pedigree behind him.
I mean, he's played the French Cup final, played Champions League games for Monaco, played 15 or so games for the first team there, spent a season out in the Belgian top flight last year, so it's a really good pedigree. I do wish I could hear the phone call of us phoning Monaco asking for a player though. I'd love to hear, hi, it's Davy Martindale
from Livingston.
Yeah. I really want to hear that conversation.
Also, have you got any yachts for sale? Because we've just sold a player for £2 million.
But nice. I mean, the pedigree looks good. Another full back though.
Yeah,
we're almost a wee bit we're almost a wee bit overloaded in those areas now, aren't we?
I was, when these signings got made, it was almost a kind of, I didn't know what to sort of say, or when I seen the signings, it was like, okay, we've signed another fullback. Why?
He made his debut today, and he looked pretty cultured on the ball, putting a couple of good crosses. There was one chance later on, but obviously we'll talk about the game later. But I think it could be a good signing. Again, there's no real risk with it. He's a lone player, so hopefully he comes in and does well.
It's just strange, like you're saying, with signing another fullback. You've got Brown that can come back in and play left back. You've got a natural left back in Taylor Sinclair that's on the bench. You've then also got McMillan that can play there. That's probably had some of his best performances playing a left back for us. So where do these guys fit in? Because the squad is
already
heavy.
Probably overloaded.
It's top heavy at the moment, and you probably need to look at trying to cut costs and everything with everything that's going on.
I think what will happen is there'll be guys going out on loan, I'd assume, when the lower divisions kind of start up, and there'll be scope for them to go and do that and get regular minutes.
The other one you mentioned, Anthony Stokes, I think personally, and I know this was kind of a 50-50 split in terms of on Twitter when we asked this question, but for me, I think it's an exceptional piece of business to get someone. Again, we spoke about this a few weeks ago in terms of bringing in guys like Holt and Ambrose and Bartley. We've now got Stokes in there. These guys are seasoned professionals at this level of the game. He's going to bring nothing but experience into the side. He's still, albeit in Iran, he was still scoring goals. Still 12 goals in 20 games or something. Still a solid record in terms of goals. We get him fit and we get his sort of head screwed on right, which ideally, I mean, Livingston are known for doing that with players.
Well,
he'll come in and do well, I think.
We're known for giving folk that second chance, aren't we? I think for me, it was an absolute no-brainer, Stokes. The opportunity, we were talking last week about we lack a bit of experience up top in terms of at this level. You've got the opportunity to bring someone in who's scored over 100 goals at this level. Guy's a kind of proven winner, proven goal scorer. Yes, he's had his issues, but I think he's almost at the perfect club for him to get him on track again. And the fact he's given a 1 year deal, I think that's an incentive in itself. Is look, you've got a year here to go and get yourself right again. And
one last payday at the end of this season, he might move on. But if we can get him for this season to do something, I look back to Holt's comments last season. Last 10-15 minutes of games, how many games did we actually chuck away that we didn't then go and we were winning or we're drawing and we then get beat or we drop points? This is just we're adding more experience to our last 4 signings. Jason Holt played hundreds of games in the league. You got Stokes, who's won the league multiple times. He's won the Scottish Cup, scored those goals that Ewan probably will talk about since for his Haiti Rangers. But when you look at it that way, we've now got experience over the park. You've brought in Bartley. Guthrie is an experienced pro as well at centre half. You've got these guys that are coming in that we need probably over the park that can lead a game.
And it can only help the likes of Jack Hamilton. Someone of that calibre coming into the club for Jack Hamilton and, as you say, Kuderesa. These guys that haven't been at that level. Let's be honest, Stokes is at a different level for Livingston Football Club. For me, it's another coup for the club, bringing in someone like Stokes. And for our young guys to be learning off of somebody like that, it must be tremendous experience for them. I'm really, really pleased with the signing. And I'm really pleased with the business, and we've moved so quick to replace London.
If we get Stokes in the right mind frame, then we'll be laughing. We need to make sure that he comes in and he's not wanting to go back to some of his antics that he's done at previous clubs, and he just wants to knuckle down and focus on football. If he does that, then we've got a brilliant player on our hands.
If you look across the league as well, right? How many teams have someone that you could go, he would probably net as double figures in goals? If you look at kind of the bottom 6, you struggle, and we've just brought someone in who, in my opinion, should net us. I'd like to think double figures if we get him firing, and give him the service, which I think we would. We get the ball in the box often enough, and you only need to go and look on Wikipedia at the goal stats he's got. It's like 136 goals in his career. For me, as I say, it was an absolute no-brainer getting Stokes, and I agree with you, Andy. Not often, but it's an absolute coup for the club.
We faced a trip north on Sunday to face Aberdeen at Pittodrie, an Aberdeen side only playing their third game of the league season due to breaking the lockdown rules, but coming off the back of a midweek win in Perth. It was another one of those days for the Lions against Aberdeen, as once again we failed to capitalise and failed to defeat. How do we sum that one up then?
I think 70 minutes of the game, very good. Just that first 20 minutes in the second half really cost us. I think we created opportunities, especially first half when Devlin got in behind, Forrest got in behind early on as well. Second half we had opportunities, but I think it's more just the case that Aberdeen were more clinical than us today. There's some of the comments I've seen on Twitter and stuff talking about us being gutless and all this sort of stuff. I'm not having that. I think we played some really good stuff at times today.
I would argue it was up there as one of our better performances this season so far. I thought we controlled the game for, like you say, 70 minutes. I felt we were on top in the game. Aberdeen, what Aberdeen do best, and that is pick the opposition off, take their chances, and see the game out. And that's what they've done. I reckon, I honestly think, and I didn't want to go back to the chat we've just had, but I think if Stokes was playing or we still had Dykes in that game, we get at least a point from it, because we were lacking that focal number 9. And as much as Robbo done his best, I thought he was very good at holding the ball up and bringing players into play. I think we lacked that killer touch, and I think if one of them was playing, I think we pick up at least a point. I thought we were pretty good. I've got very little complaints about the performance.
For me, it's a standard away performance. We keep saying this, that we go away from home, we play well. First half, our performances seem to be, we're on top, we're dominating a game, we're creating chances, and then the first 10-15 minutes of the second half we seem to switch off. We come out, we look lethargic, we don't look to be completely up to speed, and 3 minutes into the second half we're conceding a goal. We're giving away a penalty.
The penalty was really frustrating because it was like a nothing ball into the box. He's not really trying to hit anyone in the box.
Where's McMillan?
Ferguson's kind of just sneaked in on Sybil's blind side, hasn't he, and got in front of him. So that was a really frustrating.
No complaints about the penalty though.
No complaints about the penalty, but it was a frustrating one because it was literally a nothing ball cross into the box, which makes it more frustrating. Second goal, to be fair, I thought Aberdeen second half when they came out they started moving the ball a lot quicker, and that was evident for the goal. To be fair, it was a good bit of football by them.
Nice intricate pass, and if we'd scored that we'd have been absolutely buzzing with it, to be fair.
There seems to be a lot of people saying that Fitzwater should have done better. He's let his man go too easily for
he's
getting
been spun pretty well though.
I thought he got spun, but a lot of people are saying that he's at blame. Which is hard probably to criticise someone like that. For me, it's
Robbie McCrory's fault. Because apparently everything to do with our season is Robbie McCrory's fault.
On Robbie McCrory, obviously going back to the beginning of the game, the lineups was announced. We kind of discussed it and what we thought, and we kind of all thought last week that McCrory would get that nod, and he did. He played well, didn't he? He probably, in that 20-minute spell that Aberdeen had, kept us in with a chance of getting something out of the game.
Save at the back post for Marley Watkins. He's kept us in the game there. He's made another couple of saves throughout the game. You've got Ferguson's chance in the first half as well that he's kept out. What more could he do? You can't blame him for any of the two goals. He's came off his line quick to try and close down the angle when they've got through for the second one, and the penalty, there's no chance. No keeper saving that.
It,
So for me, McCrory's had a good game. I don't think there's anything that you could criticise him for there.
The other change we made was bringing, as I kind of mentioned earlier, we brought Robinson in and replacing Hamilton.
Something we kind of called again last week. It's good to see that the management really pick up on it, but to be fair, they might need to stop listening to us because
we're not won a game yet.
To be honest, I feel sorry for Hamilton.
Did he do enough to keep his spot though? I mean, we talked last week about the game and we just felt that Hamilton didn't do enough in that first half to warrant.
You've chucked in a guy that hasn't played, hadn't had a minute so far this season, and you're expecting him to go up against probably a defence that hadn't conceded.
No, I get that, and we did mention that.
This point, still not conceded.
Yeah, we did mention that, but again, I think what I said earlier was what you got for Robbo and was a bit of a pain in the arse. Pressing players, forcing them into errors, winning throw-ins, free kicks, etc. Hamilton didn't do enough of that for me. I could see that change coming a mile away.
I prefer Robbo coming in off the wing. I think he offers us more there because he can drift. As your focal number 9, he's up against the two centre halves, and he put himself about well. He done well against McKenna. He won plenty of fouls. He won throw-ins. He's done he's done what he had to do today.
I
But
think
for me, Robbo is better coming in off the wing and offering himself to the striker, drifting in and out, doing that way.
For me, Robbo was ideal for this game today because he's just a bit cuter with stuff, as you say. Like, there was one in the second half where he had 3 Aberdeen players round him and somehow managed to get the ball to stick through his kind of close control and stuff, and managed to get us up the park. It was like little incidents like that. He just managed to make the ball stick at times by being a pest and just getting his body in between folk. Whilst last week, as we touched on, it was difficult for Jack because he's throwing in, probably wasn't expecting it himself to get put up against Goldson and Helander. As you said, Callum, they've kept clean sheets every game this season, so it was always going to be a tough afternoon for him. But I think Robbo had a really good game today. Was there any other players that you thought really stuck out for us?
For Sibs again. I think Sibs has been our best player so far this season.
Yeah.
He's no scared of putting himself in. He's no scared to try and go forward with it. He's trying stuff. So look at the chance that we end up getting for Devlin when he's passed that across to Robbo. And Robbo probably you've got to take that first time instead of taking the touches.
Yeah, on that chance, when I was watching the game, I kind of picked up it. Did you not think Devlin? Personally, I think Devlin should have hit it first time for me. When he got in behind there, can he not fire it across goal, fire it across the keeper first time?
I thought Devlin should have had.
I thought it looked like it got stuck under his feet, and that's why he's passed it. That's when you watch the replay, it looked like it's kind of got stuck under his feet, so he's tried to pass it because he's not going to get the full conviction on the shot to get it past Lewis. Say that comes across to Robbo and he takes it first time. He's getting the strike away. Say he lets it come across his body and onto his left foot. I know it's his weaker foot. He's still getting the strike away at goal. He's taken the touch and he's let Joe Lewis come out and close angles.
I get that, but I mean the ball's fired at Robbo for 5 yards away from him.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to react that quickly, and by the time Robbo's taken the touch, as you say, Lewis is out and closed the angle down. I don't think it was as easy a chance as just hit it first time, where I think if Devlin for me had the better opportunity to hit it first time when he beat his man, fire it across goal. Almost like, was it St Mirren we played and he had a chance where the keeper made a save, he done similar, he broke in past the fullback. Was it Motherwell?
Season, yeah.
He broke past the fullback and hit it first time, and we obviously the keeper saved it. But almost similar to that, I think if he'd taken that opportunity, and who knows, Lewis might have saved it, but then Robbo was there for the tap-in. It's always easy for us to sit and watch the game and sort of say these things, but at the heat of the moment, he sees Robbo there standing on his own. It's a natural thing to do to pass that ball. So yeah, I think going back to the game, I think you're right, Callum. It's frustrating to come away for that with nothing, because as you say, June, for 70 minutes we've played really well. I think we've got to give Aberdeen some credit for that 20 minutes. They came out all guns blazing, as you say, a lot quicker, passing the ball better, and they got at us, they started running at us and causing us problems that they didn't do for 70 minutes of the game, and they pretty much won the game in that 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, Aberdeen did what Aberdeen do as well today. They were just cute. They grind out results, Aberdeen. You saw, obviously, the game during the week was hellish, but they somehow pull out 3 points from that game, and they probably haven't been bang at it again today, but they've somehow ground out a result. As you said, Cam, it's just another typical frustrating afternoon away from home. We've not done an awful lot wrong in the game, so it's, again, using the same word, frustrating that we're not coming out with something.
It's another one that pundits across the country are going to look at and go, well, there's Livingston beat again on away from home on grass, and they've probably not even watched the game. You know, we've sat and watched the game there, and we're all, although we've got beat, we're all relatively happy with the performance. I know performances don't get you points, and obviously we need points just now because we're now sitting bottom of the league, on goal difference albeit, but we are sitting bottom of the league, so performances aren't going to get us results. We need to turn that performance into results.
It just makes the next 2 games coming up absolutely massive.
There was a debut for, we mentioned him earlier, Serrano came on. How did we think he done? Obviously in his cameo, I think he had 15 minutes.
Put a good cross into the box.
Chance that Tiff sadly at one.
Tiff's has got to do better with the chance. He takes that chance, it's 2-2.
Putting an absolute cruncher of a tackle as well on Shea Logan, didn't
he?
Great challenge. Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
But then the gaffer did say in his sort of press conference when we signed him, saying that he is a bit of a hardy soul in terms of he likes to put the boot in, he likes to put a tackle in.
Yeah.
No something that you generally put with a player that's coming from Monaco.
Yeah.
So that's always good to see.
We're so clued up on all these guys in Monaco. Yeah.
He should fit in well in the country if he's going to not fear the putting in a tackle.
Crowd would love that one. I can imagine the Aberdeen fans going berserk.
Oh yeah, and we're all going crazy saying yes. Just finally, before we move on, that's 2 points for 5 games now. Is it worrying even this early in the season?
I think for me, the last 3 games, the performances have been there, so it's a matter of time before results start to accompany that. The Motherwell game going forward, we looked very good. The defensive display against Rangers, and I think we had relatively overall today a very sound performance. But yeah, the next 2 games are massive. In particular, obviously the next one, Ross County, is before the international break. Rather not go into the international break, still looking for a first win. But 2 home games, it's good to be back to home comforts, and hopefully we can pick something up. TalkLivi Question Time returns for the first time this season. We asked you to get in touch with your questions, so we'll just get right into them. So first up, what's the best non-playing thing Livy could spend some of the Dykes cash on? Probably keeping the club afloat during a global pandemic for me. I think that's an absolute no-brainer personally.
Guys that come round the stand selling pies so we don't have to get out our seats to go down to the serveries. I think we should bring more, like the American style where they bring like popcorn and that
hot
round.
dogs here.
Yeah,
that's so your cankles didn't get served.
Exactly, just like save me walking up and down the stairs. I think that's a great idea, and then it obviously sells more produce.
To be honest, you need all the exercise you can get. So to be honest, that's not a good idea.
But do you know what I think? Guy walking up and down the stairs with his little sort of.
I'm being honest. If I'm at the football and someone stands in front of me so they can buy a pie, he's getting dogs abuse. No chance.
Doesn't take a lot to get dogs abuse of you. You'll be shouting, you're a clown.
I didn't go to the football to see someone stand up to go, "Can I get 3 Scotch pies?" Walk down and buy one.
What about a guy who goes around and takes orders? Or an app? An app you can order to deliver to your seat at half time, like when you go to the theatre or
drill
that.
coming out of his mouth.
Well, I'm just trying to think outside the box here.
And they watch you're salivating on your laptop there, mate.
I'm just trying to think outside the box. I thought the easy answer was to keep the club afloat, so I'm trying to, think of something different.
Yeah, but the answer is keep the club afloat.
Fair enough.
When can you see crowds being back in the stadium?
I'm no Nicola Sturgeon. There's
Well,
no
to be
chance I
fair,
can look into a crystal ball here and find it.
To be fair, I've just came off the blow up whilst we were editing a little bit with Jason Leach, so I've got the kind of inside scoop for it. I've no clue. Like honestly, when do we think they'll get back? Not a fucking.
I think they need to.
In fairness,
and to be serious, they're looking at trying to set up a few pilot events.
Mm-hmm.
And until we finally actually see what's happening with the pilot events and what happens going forward with even Aberdeen still in lockdown.
Nah.
Like, they're not going to allow crowds back into the stadium.
well, if they not gave a provisional date, like the 14th
of September.
It's a which is really annoying because it's 2 days after our home game with Hamilton.
Yeah.
Which is so annoying. Surely Livingston versus Hamilton would have been a perfect game because there'd be plenty of social distancing anyway.
Well, what you might find is it could then be set up as a pilot event.
Well, fingers crossed.
Because it could be opened up to only season ticket holders. And John Ward's comment that we've only got 200 season ticket holders, and we're the perfect club for it.
Let's be serious for a minute. I mean, surely a club like Livingston. They're talking about letting
Celtic.
down south, so they're letting tier 7 and below crowds go back into games. Some of these teams are getting 300-400 at their games. We've got maybe 700-800. I know this is contrary to what John Ward says, but I believe we've got 700-800 season tickets. We've got a 8,500 seater stadium. It's an absolute no-brainer to let our fans in, and then especially like to Hamilton and Ross County coming down, they're going to bring a lot of fans. We've got a massive stadium.
But what you might
we've got things in place now. We've got hand sanitisers. We've got places
one-way setups and everything like that.
It's a no-brainer surely to allow clubs like Livingston to allow fans back into the games.
The only thing that would be the worry for us is how do we get all the proper put everything in place.
To be fair, I think we have done though.
No, but do you know, see, you
We'd have
start
been able
allowing
to return
fans.
to training if we hadn't put procedures
But
in
what I'm
place.
meaning is, how much manpower is it going to actually take to then get everyone to sign their name, enter it into databases, then make sure that everything's sorted for going forward, then keep a track on if someone gets the virus.
But then surely, if you're scanning your season ticket card in, that'll automatically show up on a database. So it's really just people that are paying to get in, and you're having to pre-book tickets anyway.
No, it could work. But
I mean,
do you know,
all you need is the volunteers that were already doing the volunteering anyway to man the gates and things. I don't see why clubs like Livingston can't do it. I mean, we're already talking about a pilot event between Celtic and Motherwell, letting 1,000 fans
there should be
in.
no chance that Celtic are allowed anywhere near a pilot event. They can't keep track of their players. How are they going to keep track of fans? And do you know,
True.
and in regards to that, why are you going to annoy 45, 50,000 of your season ticket holders by saying you're not the ones that have been chosen? There's going to be uproar.
Whilst all our season ticket holders will happily
Yeah,
get
we'll get into
there's no uproar about
and
it at
do
all.
you know, that game against Hamilton probably would be the ideal chance to make it a pilot event.
Yeah. What do you think happened with Menga and Pepe, and is it good to get rid of them?
We kind of spoke about it at length earlier on. I mean, you never like to see players leaving. I don't think they left on bad terms, but it was a no-brainer to sort of free up wages in order to improve the squad. I think
For me, they weren't going to feature,
No.
so there's no point having them on the books.
Yeah.
Obviously wish them the best of luck, but it was, as you say, it's a bit of a no-brainer.
We've acted in the best interest of the club. That's exactly what's been done.
we've probably acted in the best interest of them as well. Are they going to play games? Do they want to play games? They probably do. So the ideal solution is for club and players to part ways. We save money financially and bring players in that might feature, and they get to go and find themselves another club. Yeah.
Who do you think we should send out on loan? I
Tough
almost
one.
had a list lined up.
I think there is a list of players that will be going out. Pignatello, there's got to be one. Hamilton, I think, will probably get another loan
Hamilton
spell.
will go out.
Especially signing 2 strikers in the last couple of days. I think so. I think that you might. Well,
I mean, I was more thinking along the lines of one of the, like, Poblotnik or someone. I mean, going out there, getting used to the Scottish games in a slightly lower level, get them used to the speed of the game, because at the end of the day, there's not a big difference between the Championship and the Premiership for me in this country. There's not a massive gap there. If you send them out to one of these sort of mid-table Championship clubs and get them playing every week or every other week in that league, you're going to toughen them up and get them used to the speed of the game. He was one I thought about. The other one was Tiffany. I think this is a big season for
it's make or
him.
break season for Tiffs.
If it doesn't work out for him this season, we don't renew a contract for him and he moves on. So do we send him out, or do we keep him to, hopefully for him to improve himself to the management team?
I mean,
He's
he
featured a fair bit
He's
so
had
far.
a couple of loan spells since he's been here. Obviously spent 6 months with Morton, and then he had the second half of last season with Ayr. Tiffany's one that sprung to mind. DeVita is one that springs to mind, so he can go out and get minutes. You touched Pignatello. I think be looking at maybe a top end League One, bottom half Championship club for him to kind of that stagger the development almost, because he was with Stranraer last year and apparently had quite a good season with them.
Very good season.
The other one I thought was Kudiresa.
Kudiresa was one I was going to say as well. Yeah.
3-year deal, and obviously it's a huge jump going League 2 up into the Premiership. So again, I was thinking maybe someone like Queen of the South take him for 6 months or so. Again, just kind of bridging that gap in his development.
I'd
might be a
actually
shout.
heard that Queen of the South are looking at Tiffany. So
Is that an inside exclusive, Callum?
it's something
Is that a
I've been
TalkLivi
told.
inside exclusive?
It could be. It could be something that I've been told.
You're welcome back anytime with these exclusives.
But-
Love it.
That would be a good move. Queen of the South are getting some money in.
Well-
They'd probably be able to cover majority of his wage.
It seems like we've got a good working relationship with Queen of the South. I mean, obviously we're going to have a good working relationship when they're getting 200,000-300,000 off us. But it seems like we're both clubs are quite amicable in terms of how we do business.
You
So
look at the
it's-
McCrory deal, how that all worked out last year. He got recalled from his loan at Queen's, came to us, and we gave them Stuart.
By the way,
for
can
that.
I just say that I can't pronounce Gogic, but I can say amicable perfectly. Can I just put that out
Just
there?
pronounced Gogic perfectly.
You don't know how long you had to rehearse that in his head. How many points do we have to get from our next 5 league games before the Betfred Cup games start?
So next game's County at home, Hamilton at home, Celtic away, St Johnstone at home, and then Dundee United away.
I think, like every season, we've got to target wins in our home games. There's 3 winnable home games there with Hamilton, Ross County and St Johnstone. Celtic you could almost write off, and I see no reason why we can't go to Dundee United and pick up at least a point. I think we should be targeting 10 points for the games. I think
I was going to say 9, so 3 wins. For me, the home games in particular, I think St Johnstone have had a mixed start to the season under Davidson. Ross County have kind of almost tapered off a little bit after the first couple of wins. And Aki's, well, they got a much needed win, so they'll probably be quite high in confidence going into that game. But for me, certainly the next 2 is 6 points. We need to get off the mark.
they're massive games.
I think we need to look at 10 points. I think we need to be aiming to get something at that Dundee United game away.
I don't see why we can't.
Just remember, last time at Tannadice under the lights, that's a Friday night game, 7:45 kick-off.
We kind of spoke at the
All the
start.
memories.
We spoke at the start of the season, giving our predictions, and we all kind of said Dundee United are one of the teams that we're not overly sure of. They've not improved much of their squad from the Championship. We have a good squad. That's one game I'm targeting to get points away from home.
Do you know, for me, Dundee United are doing exactly what we done when we first came up. They're that unknown quantity. They've got a new manager, they're playing a new formation, and they're playing players in different positions. Do you know, coming that game in the start of October, that's when the game is. We've got to be looking at that. We should know how they're going to be lining up. We should know exactly what we're facing, and we can get at them.
I think, like you said, obviously one game at a time, but these 2 games, there's certainly the one before the international break and then the one just after, Ross County and Hamilton, we need to be picking up minimum 4 points.
Yeah.
Minimum 4 points for the games. We should be targeting 6. I mean, we've got a fairly good record at home to Ross County.
Yeah.
Hamilton's a bit indifferent. We always seem to find it tough against Hamilton, but we definitely need to be picking up our first win for sure. 4 points minimum for the 2 games, but
And there we go. Ross County will win next week because Simple's just said we've got a good run against them.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Who do you reckon the best smelling Livy player is? That was from Liam Innes. Which is a very Liam Innes
always
question.
fires in a curveball. Every week there's a wee curveball there, so thanks, Liam. I have no idea. I mean,
it's not even something I really want to think about, if I'm honest. I'm not really bothered.
I've seen someone throw out Suda on Twitter as a potential. I can see why someone would say that. He seems like a kind of well dressed, well sort of groomed man.
Andy, you're salivating again.
But I have no idea. Ian?
Right, let's cut this one short because I don't want to listen to Andy talking about well-groomed men. What kind of plans has the club been making for the return of fans to live games in the stadium?
Can I just get this across here that we don't have inside knowledge of the football club. We tend to get questions like this quite a lot when we throw this out, and this isn't a dig at whoever. I can't remember who put it in.
You should have heard what he said about you.
But we genuinely do this in our own time. We have a good relationship with the club who let us do interviews and things, but that's about as much inside knowledge as we have.
Yeah.
So
the answer to that is not a Scooby.
Yeah, the man you want to ask is Derek, probably. Yeah. Drop him an email, he'll tell you.
We've chucked Derek under the bus there. For any
do you want to plug his email address on this just to make it even better?
I don't know it.
What's his slow one?
No, give him a personal one as well.
I can give you his number.
But yeah, to answer that one, we don't know.
And another one we have was we now have 5 strikers in only one place. Who leads the line out of those options and why?
For me, it's Stokes. He's got the experience, he can lead the line, he knows exactly what he's doing, he scored goals at this level. So for me, Stokes.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Out of the options we have, He's the obvious one for me, has the most experience, has in the league certainly. I think he'll offer us something that Dykes offered us in terms of that sort of physicality, that holding up the play, bringing players in, which is what we kind of asked the Dykes. And he's a goal scorer. Give him chances, he'll score goals for us.
I feel we've let our natural replacement for Dykes go. We let him go to Hamilton and Hakeem Adolphin. I saw enough in that cameo up top last season against Hearts to say that he was the answer to all our goal scoring trouble.
Some diving header yesterday.
I totally agree with you guys. Stokes, you can't look past his track record and his proven goal scorer. He's got a very good link up, technical ability. I think he would suit our system.
He's underrated in the air as well.
Yeah, so for me it would be Stokes that would go and lead that line. But yeah, that was all the questions we had this week. Cheers for sending them in, and hopefully we'll do it again in a few weeks' time.
Finally this week, we're going to look ahead to our next game. It's a home game against the Ross County side, who have had an impressive start to the season and are defying early season predictors of doom for the Highlands side.
Aye, from you, really.
For Livy though, it will really be seen as a must-win, surely.
Yeah, we've got to target 3 points. I think we obviously played them in pre-season, so we'll have an idea of kind of what to expect from them to each game. Probably should have beat them by all accounts, but yeah, they've had an impressive start to the season. Obviously the opening day win against Motherwell, they drew yesterday with St Mirren. So yeah, they've had a good start. They seem to have done some decent recruitment as well. The boy that they got on loan from Rangers that was at Ayr last year, I forget his name.
Stephen Kelly.
That's the one, Kelly. He looks a good player. Obviously the big threat's Ross Stewart, isn't it?
Yeah.
He seems to grab most of the goals. He's quite a handful. He's caused us a couple of problems before, so yes, we need to target that. For me, it's before the international break. We need to go into that international break on a wee bit of a buzz. For me,
I think the big business that Ross County done was sort out their defensive troubles. I think we spoke about them quite a lot last season in terms of how they were shipping goals. I think they were the worst defensive record in the league last season. Fontaine was a bit slow as a week in the jail. He's not really been playing. It's been Donaldson and
Bambi got injured yesterday.
It might be a Bambi. Might be a positive for us then if Fontaine does come in. It's someone that we could maybe target. But defensively, they've been far more solid, as you say. They've attacking threat in terms of Stewart and Mackay, who'll offer you something different up top. So there is a threat there as well, someone that we need to watch out for. Defensively, we've looked better. I mean, obviously against Aberdeen we conceded the 2 goals, but not a lot we could have done really. Definitely one, as we kind of mentioned there in the question time, that we need to be targeting for 3 points.
Yeah, I think I'm relatively confident going into the game because our performances have started picking up. I think if we were playing like we did, for example, against Hibs and St Mirren and losing games, that would really concern me. But after the Motherwell game, we've got a kind of bit of buzz that we're looking more like ourselves. We're kind of getting into our flow a little bit more. But as we say, it's a huge game in my opinion. We've caused them a lot of problems though. A couple of games last season. Defensively, they didn't seem to really know how to handle us. The dead balls, long throws into the box. They really struggled with that. So I think we need to kind of target that again and just make it into a bit of a scrap when we're going forward and be ourselves, get on the second balls and cause them problems.
It's a team that we probably scored the most goals against last season.
Oh, we scored 8 goals, didn't we? Yeah, we scored 4 twice against them, didn't we?
Away from home and at home. So that was one of their frailties last season. Some of the goals that we were scoring that we shouldn't have probably been scoring. But going into it, they're probably the team coming into this game in a bit of confidence. They've started the season well. They're still sitting in the top. They're sitting third in the league as of results right now. The Hibs game's still going on. So they're coming into this game on a high. They'll be coming to us thinking we can take 3 points off them. It doesn't matter, it's at home. We've got to go and target. We need to come out and do what we do well. We need to press in packs, we need to frustrate them, we need to give them no time in the ball. We just need to get back to the dogfight that we put in when we were going through the spell last season, just before Christmas, and then it started to turn. When we went back to doing the basics properly, we fought off second balls, we fed the ball into the channels, and we let the centre-backs face their own goal and make decisions.
I hate using cliches in football, but I think if individuals win their own battles in this game, that'll stand us well going forward.
Was that simple, or Gary the other time?
Guy Holson did
I mean, you're looking at Ross County are playing the sort of 4-2-3-1 system that we are, so if we stick to that same system, we're almost matching up to them. So it's more important than ever when you're playing against a team who's matching up formations that you win your individual battles. And looking at the two teams, I mean, trying not to wear my Livy tinted specs, but to me, we have man for man a better starting 11 than they do.
Yeah, that's my opinion as well. But results talk at the moment.
Absolutely,
results are the most important thing at this time. How many teams would have said that last season about us? They had a better team on paper than us, and we were still going and picking up points.
Now, 8 points for Ross County is a great return to start the season. They obviously they threw away the Dundee United game, didn't they? So I mean, it could have been even better if they've held on to that. There is still some frailties though in that. I think obviously we mentioned Donaldson got taken off against St Mirren, whether he makes it or not. But if he does play, he's someone that I would target. I think there's a mistake in there for him, and it depending on who we play up top, they could maybe capitalise on that. I think we can get down the sides well. I think if we stick with Devlin out there, his overlapping runs could cause them problems. Get ball, like you said. I think a lot of their issues were balls into the box. If we can get balls into the box, win seconds, test our keeper.
Stokes is that type of player as well. He's going to try and nip in front of someone if a cross comes in the box to try and get his goals.
You would like to think that Stokes will have his international clearance, but then he's obviously not played a lot of football. He admitted he's not played for 3 or 4 months. So whether he starts or whether he plays an hour, who knows what the thinking is. But that's a question I have put down. Who would you play up front? With all that said and done in terms of Stokes' fitness, who would play up front in this game?
I'd go along the lines of you. Give Stokes an hour. I think get someone on the park that's got an instinct in front of goal. I think that we talked about the Aberdeen game. It was a case of being more clinical. The keyword there being clinical, and for me, we need to get someone on the park that's going to be that for us. As you say, give him an hour, good minutes for him, but hopefully he can provide a bit of quality in that kind of final third that can help us get a result. In terms of how we set up, any other changes you would make? Or?
I was kind of going to ask that in terms of we've now played obviously Devlin and McMillan. I mentioned that it's a potential area to look at to get in behind them.
You need balance.
Do we bring Taylor Sinclair or do we give a starting debut to Serrano to see how he gets on in this game? I think Devlin's a no-brainer on the right because he gives you that kind of up and down the wings.
He was doing that a lot today in the Aberdeen game. He was getting forward a lot.
McMillan, as much as we always talk him up, we think he's a great player, but naturally he's not that player on the left that will do that for you. Serrano might offer you that. I think he was built up as a kind of almost a wing back rather than a full back, a left-sided player. Or as we know about Aaron Taylor Sinclair, we know what he brings to the party. So there's 2 options there.
The other one is Brown going to be back fit for the game?
Does Brown get back in?
I would be looking at him as a centre half.
Who drops out?
For me, we are.
We've thrown him under the bus here again.
We've conceded 9 goals in 5 games. That's last season. We prided ourselves on keeping it tight, not conceding goals, playing 4 at the back. So Guthrie's still been looking good. You
could argue that Brown was a part of that though, that we've lost the goals.
He was.
Brown's played all the games, hasn't he? So.
Well, he's not played all the games. He went off injured against Motherwell. When it was 0-0. Or just went 1-0, I think. He got injured just before it went 1-0. It's one of those ones that we've got a squad there. You've got experience sitting on your bench. A guy with multiple international caps. It's a centre half that's going to come in. There's more experience in your back line, because we just need to go back to basics. For me, this game is all about going back to basics, going back to what we're good at. And that's, if you play with Ambrose and Guthrie, you've got experience in your backline. You've also, for me, you just start battling Sibbald.
Well, the other one I was kind of thinking about was Holt. Now, I'm not saying that he's been bad at all. In fact, I think he's been great in the 2 games he's played so far. But he's almost that same player that we've got in Pitts. So do we drop him out but keep Robinson in order to let Stokes go up there, so that you can have Robinson playing in that wide position that you mentioned earlier, War, that you thought that was his better position? Could he almost play in there behind sort of Stokes, and then that allows sort of Pittman to do that role that Holt's been doing?
It could. You definitely could. I'd be also looking at potentially if Suda's fit, or because he wasn't even named on the bench today. This is probably a game that Suda could get at them.
For the delivery alone, we talk about his dead ball.
Forrest done nothing today to really impress me.
But then Forrest has been good.
It has been good, but you really need to be looking at it now that it doesn't matter if they've been good in previous games. It's what they've done in the last game. We need to go back. Suda will take on a man. He'll try and beat him. He'll try and produce something. You go with Robinson. You know what you're going to get from Robinson. You're going to get 60 minutes of work. At that point, maybe bring Forrest on. Fresh legs. Let him run at someone. Let him try and create something from there.
Does Suda jump straight from not being involved in the squad to going right into the starting 11 though? I am with you, and I think for set pieces he's probably our best player. Mm-hmm. His cross balls and his dead balls are excellent and cause a lot of problems, and we did mention the sort of inability of Ross County to defend that.
Exactly.
But does he jump over guys that have been sitting on the bench waiting for an opportunity to come straight into the starting 11?
I would put him in at my starting 11 ahead of Tiffany that's sitting on the bench. You've not really got another natural winger that's probably sitting on the bench.
You'd put him in your starting 11 ahead of Tiffany, who's sitting on the bench. That makes no sense.
No, but what I was meaning with that is Andy's asked who would you put him in that's sitting on the bench. So if you're putting him into your starting 11, you look at your bench today. Who else is on that bench that's going to come in that's a natural wide player?
For me, I wouldn't drop Pitts. I think Pitts has been decent in the last few games. I know a few fans are saying he needs a spell in the team, etc. But I think you know what Pitts gives you. He gives you that goal, a bit of a goal threat as well, coming from deep, arriving in the box type thing. So for me, you'd keep him in. I think he offers more of a goal threat than someone like Holt, personally. So I would keep him in for it. I think we just need to, as I say, we need to get guys in and about Stokes, because if Stokes was to start, for example, as he's touched on himself, he's not played 3-4 months, so he needs guys with legs and about him maybe to kind of do that work a bit for him.
It's almost, I look back at this Stokes signing and it almost mirror images the signing of Lee Miller. In terms of, he's at that stage of his career where he's looking to do something well, but he's not expecting to play all the time. He's still expecting to do well, score goals and things, hold the ball up. But you would think that he might have one last move in him, but if not, is this an ideal club to kind of finish at? Almost that Lee Miller type player that will hold the ball up. We keep talking about holding the ball up and things. So that's what it reminded me of. But going back to Ross County, they're playing a little bit more football this season. I watched the game at the start of the season on the telly against Motherwell. They played a little bit more football. We got criticised a lot for long ball football, but whenever we came up against Ross County, that's kind of all they done.
Wells came out and said that he's going to take the blame for any goals they concede from trying to play out for the back. That's the way he wants. That's his philosophy of football now. That the other guys
teams trying to play out though, that encourages me.
Yeah, totally.
Because of the type of team
the way we play, the way we hound players, absolutely.
So for me, that gives me encouragement that there's an opportunity to get at Ross County, and I think last season they almost played into our hand because the lack of ability to defend our box and stuff like that. I think we're going to be right up for it. To be fair, I think the manager and Davey, they'll be getting in at the players all week, talking about how important this game is. You need to get points on the board, and I think the players will be up for it. And as I say, I'm confident because the performances have been decent the last 3 games.
The players, they'll be eager looking at the league table. No one likes to look at the league table and see their team bottom of the league. They'll be looking at that and they'll be eager to get off the bottom of the league as quickly as they can. But
it's the first time we've been bottom since promotion.
Yeah, there you go. So looking at the game, we've kind of discussed the opposition, we've looked at us and how we're going to line up. So you're saying that you're confident, Ewan, so we'll start with you in terms of predictions ahead of that game. What are you thinking, score-wise?
I'm going to go 3-1 Livy.
Goal fest. Callum with 2 L's.
2-1 Livy.
Oh, I was going 2-1 Livy as well. It's not often we agree.
I might want to change that.
It's not often.
2-1 Livy. I think it will be. I don't see us not conceding, but I think that we can potentially pose a threat. Hopefully, Stokes can score if he plays, and then take it from there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think the Ross County's firepower gives me a little bit of fear. They do have goals in them, there's no doubt. But again, and I'm with you, Ewan, in terms of I think we'll be right up for the game. I think we will win the game. Fingers crossed. I mean, we've not been very good with our predictions again.
We're still only 1 point between 3 of us
Yeah.
for predictions this season.
That is absolutely honking.
Vitally important we get a win in this game, and hopefully we can do that next week to give us something positive to continue to talk about.
That's it for this week's episode of Talk Livy. We'll be back again this time next week with a look back at the Ross County game, plus lots more. Hopefully a positive week ahead.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find Talk Livy on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram by simply searching for Talk Livy. You'll find all the links to this episode and all our previous episodes over there.
You can also find all our episodes on all good podcast streaming sites, including iTunes and Spotify. We're also on YouTube, so search for Talk Livy and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If none of those options suit you though, all you have to do is head to our website talklivypodcast.libsyn.com, where you'll find every episode that we've done over the last few years.
Callum, thanks again for coming on. I think you're now our 4th host, I think, because it looks like Callum Brown's going to be missing every other week when he's doing away commentary.
He's away doing like red carpet walks and stuff now because he does a bit of commentating.
Sandwich,
Yeah, so Callum, if you're happy to continue, we're happy to have you.
If you send the contract over to my agent, I'll get him to read it before I can agree.
You better big timing on now as well.
One of them
it's simple. I don't know if I can trust him.
Sacked.
Sorry, I'm head of Talk Livy HR, so you'll be fine.
But
You're top at HR.
as always, boys, it's been a pleasure to be here and talk about everything Livingston. So from you and Callum and myself, we hope you all have a fantastic week.
Livingston.